Alrighty. Looks like I'm lagging a bit. Hopefully it's not too bad. But okay. We will be starting the interview in probably a minute, just to wait for some viewers to get on because we did start a little bit later than usual. We usually start a little bit early, but we are on time. We had some technical issues, got them hopefully worked out for the rest of the stream. But if there are any, I apologize in advance because sometimes technology is not on your side. But with that said, before we start the stream, I'm just gonna go over the usual housekeeping stuff. First things first. So first of all, on Twitch there's this thing called a VOD, which is a recording of the stream. So for 14 days after today's stream, you can come back to the Twitch channel, which you are on right now, and you will be able to access the recording of the stream. And after that point, though, after 14 days, Twitch automatically deletes the VOD because that's a lot of storage to take up. So what we're doing instead is that we download the VOD and we upload it to our YouTube channel, which is on our link tree. Something happened. Oh. All right, hopefully nothing bad happened. But yeah, so you can check out our YouTube channel in our link tree. I will link that right now. You can click on that link, and that will take you to our link tree, and from there you can access our Twitch channel, our YouTube channel. The VOD will be uploaded by Sunday night, and we'll have timestamps by the end of spring break. So yeah, that's a VOD. Next thing is that if you haven't already, please follow us on Twitch because we have a hi spoiled purse. I'm not sure who you are, but I hope you've been having a great day. But another thing is that you can follow us on our Twitch. First, once we hit 50 followers, we are going to be giving away our OG merch hoodie, which this is the front. The back is probably a little bit blurry, but there's the back. And we will be giving it away for free once we hit 50 followers. If you are after the first 50 followers, you will not be entered in the giveaway, so please follow now. Next thing is, if you want to co-host a stream like Emily is now, if you want to like to talk or talk about anything, honestly, as you can tell, this is not particularly college or career related, even though that's our mission. You can talk about just about anything, and we'll welcome you on. So if you're interested in doing that, or if you have any questions, all of the links to our stream forum, which is where you can ask questions, to order our merch, to co-host a stream, all of that is in our link tree, as I already linked. So yeah, make sure to check out our link tree if you have any interest whatsoever in co-hosting the stream, buying merch, asking questions. So yeah, that's all I have in terms of housekeeping. It doesn't look like we have everybody here yet, so might wait a little bit longer, but not quite sure yet. But yeah, just a little disclaimer. I am not a digital artist. I know close to nothing about art. So just like last time, just like with Justin, I am very much the novice here. So Emily is going to be our expert for today. If I ask any offensive questions somehow by how unknowledgeable I am in this, hopefully I do not offend anybody, but if I do, I apologize. But yeah, looks like somehow our viewers just spiked, so I think we're going to start now. Okay. All right, Emily, we are live. You are on screen. You're currently muted. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Emily, how about you just introduce yourself before we get started for anybody who is new or does not know who you are?
Oh, okay. So, well, yeah, I'm Emily. I'm a digital artist and I'm a freelancer. I mostly work for Twitch streamers. I draw emotes, panels, profile pictures, and I get paid for it. I'm not gonna say what my prices are, but yeah, I kind of do that. I work on social media most of the time for my art, and it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty cool because it's really cool to know that there are people that I know who are actually doing stuff that's not school related because at school we're kind of in our own bubble, we just see people in the school environment, but we don't really get to see people outside of that, and it was just really cool to find out that you actually do this. So when I first found out that you were a digital artist, which was when you applied for the stream, I sort of wondered how long did it take to get to where you are, and how long have you been working on it? How have you been developing those skills? How did you get from wherever you started to where you are today, where you are literally getting contracts with maybe not contracts, but like you are like Twitch streamers and these people are
Paid.
paying you to do this. So
Yeah.
like, how did you get to this point?
Basically, I mean, I have been drawing technically my entire life, but it wasn't really a main passion of mine. It kind of started around end of 8th grade, so when I was 13. And I was just kind of curious on how like the whole digital art world was like, because I only drew with like a pencil and the paper back then. I didn't take art seriously at all. And I thought like digital art was kind of fun to try out. I've always seen like the YouTubers, you know, like Jaden Animations, Domix, do all this storytime stuff on digital art. And I was like, I kind of want to try that. So I downloaded this app called IBIS Paint X, and a lot of beginner artists know what it is because it's a free drawing program, but it's mobile.
Sorry.
And I just kind of started drawing on my phone with my finger digitally, and I still do. I'm a finger artist, and like that's what they're called, finger artists. And yeah, I basically get paid to just like draw on my phone with my finger. Anyway, so I just kept practicing with it. I decided to create an art account on Instagram, and at first I was really scared because I was scared people would judge my art all the time. But luckily, I had like such like supportive friends and family who would compliment on my art, even if it was kind of very ugly. And then I just kept doing that for 3 years, and it wasn't until about a year ago, this one streamer messaged me asking if I was doing commissions, and I said yes. So it's just kind of like all of them from there, and then I've just had more clients come in after my first commission.
Oh wow, that's actually really cool. Wait, so sorry, you sort of touched on the finger artist thing. I didn't quite like get that because I ran into some technical issues. Could you sort of like, are you first of all, sorry, are you still doing finger art now for like your commissions and stuff?
Yeah, since I can't really afford an iPad at the moment, I draw on my phone, and I don't have a stylus either, so I just kind of use my finger to draw.
Whoa,
Like all the art samples I sent you on the post were all by my finger.
that is crazy.
Mobile.
Oh my God, you do all of it on your phone, not even like a computer, like all of it's on your phone.
No, I've never
Wait,
drawn with a computer before.
okay, it looks like we're having technical issues, so that might be a problem. Okay, it might have to do with the fact that okay, so just as a sort of context. So when I am streaming on Twitch, I cannot share my camera to Emily through my computer, and that's what happened with Justin last time. So it was a little bit awkward. So what we tried this time was I would call in from my phone and my computer. On my phone, she would be able to see my camera, and otherwise everything else would go to the computer. My audio, her audio, everything else would go to the computer. But that seems to be causing lag issues. So I think for the sake of the stream, we're just gonna have to stick to Emily not being able to see my camera, which is
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, and it might be a little bit awkward because she won't be able to read my facial cues, so she won't know when I'm done speaking or not. So that's sort of a forewarning in advance. Apologies for that. So yeah, sorry for the interruptions. You just talked about finger artists. Yeah, so you were saying that you don't draw on your computer at all.
No, not on a computer or a tablet. It's all on my phone.
So do you have like a bigger phone, or like how does that work? Because like honestly, I just really
sorry.
You're good. You're good. No worries.
Um, honestly, I think for artists who work with like a tablet or a computer, which like most artists do, because it's just more convenient that way. The only difference is that I can't get as much detail into my art as other artists can. And basically how it works is just I would say think about when the shower door fogs up and it's all glass, or when the window fogs up and then you kind of draw on it with your finger for fun. Like that's just all I do, but with a bit more precision.
So yeah, but I honestly still can't wrap my head around the fact that it's like I was under the impression that it was like not impossible, but like almost like it was harder to draw on your phone with a finger than it is to like use a mouse on a computer, which even then that's like ridiculously hard in my opinion. So honestly, that's just really crazy that you're getting paid for stuff that's like using like you're not using super high tech. This is like all you, which is crazy.
Hmm. I
But yeah,
think I think people like get that misconception all the time. Oh, are you gonna say
no,
something?
no, continue.
Okay. I think people get that misconception all the time is that digital art is very inaccessible when I'm literally doing this, all of this on a free app just on my phone with my finger. It's just a matter of if you want to be more experienced with more professional tech, especially when you're wanting to actually enter the field of professional art. Like this setup with my phone and stuff would never fly in an actual studio if I wanted to work there. I would obviously have to learn the real tech. So that's like an advantage of having a tablet and all that, is that it's more professional. But obviously everyone, like including me, can't really afford that. So um I just kind of learned these skills from the ground up since I was like 13. So it wasn't easy at all. It was definitely difficult, but like the more you get used to drawing with your finger, you kind of lose touch with being able to draw with a tablet, because then the reverse happens where you find drawing at a tablet harder than drawing with your finger. It's like,
Mm. Yeah, actually, so that's just a connection I just realized. So I noticed that sometimes you like practice drawing, or like I see you like doodle, like you post on your Instagram sometimes like doodles that you make. Does like how do you
mhm.
does the practice from drawing with pencil transfer over to drawing with fingers at all?
I would say yeah, because a lot of the time when I draw with my finger, I kind of lose a bit of my style because I have to simplify things for the sake of convenience. Because it's mostly with my pointer, or oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
No worries.
It's mostly with my pointer or thumb finger,
Mm.
and so I have to lose a bit of my style and like detailing for the sake of being able to see what I'm drawing. But drawing with pencil helps me maintain my style and like um, the general ability to like have detail in my drawings.
Mm.
And it's also just like really good warm ups because it's like, how would I say, it's kind of like warming up my brain to get used to communicating like ideas from my brain to my hand, like hand eye coordination, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Sorry.
Yeah, Justin touched on the same idea of hand-eye coordination last time, so that's actually an interesting
Oh.
like, connection. Yeah, that was cool. Just as a reminder, this is sort of an interruption again. Sorry, but for everybody in the chat, you guys can ask questions whenever. Don't be afraid about interrupting the stream because usually the chat questions tend to be the best questions. The outline, like the questions that I come up with, those are really just general questions to guide the stream. Ideally, you guys sort of direct the stream because it always becomes more valuable and interesting when you guys like have your questions and input. So yeah, sort of going back to what you were talking about. I remember, sorry, before when you were talking about like before I asked the question about the difference between drawing with fingers and drawing with pencils and pen, you talked about the like you started developing your skills since 13. Could you go into what that
Mhm.
actually looked like the process of because that's about 3 years, right
Uh,
there.
yeah. Oh God. Um. So what I started with was my ability to basically draw a figure, like because there's obviously like so many things that go into art, like color, line, sketch, and I was focusing more on the sketch part. I was focusing more on my basic style, like how I would draw eyes and what I wanted. Because back then, when I was 13, I was really much more into a cartoony slash like vaguely anime inspired style. But I was definitely leaning towards more Western cartoon. And then over time, my taste developed, and I realized I didn't want that style. But practicing that early in my art career when I was 13 was just kind of really helpful for the rest of the way, because I feel like sorry, this is really off topic. Having a style is like one of the most important things an artist who's like trying to make a name for themselves on social media, especially, is really good to have because with a unique style, you're kind of irreplaceable, and that's just kind of what social media looks for. That's a really weird way to put it, but it's like if you want to be big on social media, or not necessarily big, just at least noticed, you have to be unique and like irreplaceable with your art, or hop on a trend.
Yeah, that makes a
Did
lot of
that
sense.
answer your question? I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I can always follow up with more specific questions if your answer doesn't like answer directly. But that was actually a really good answer. Just to sort of get more like just to go a little bit deeper, was there like any structure to how you learned it, or like was there any like specific stuff? Because you sort of described the general things of what happened, sort of like your overall development, but were there anything like specific practices or like courses or like how did that actually progress? Like, yeah.
I think most of it came from YouTube. I used to watch YouTube tutorials of this one YouTuber. I think her name was Lavender Town. And she was one of those art channels that would be like, do this, don't do that. And I would basically click on the videos where I was struggling. Like for example, she had a video on how to draw hair. And that was like one of the biggest things I struggled on because I just didn't know how to structure it and I didn't know how to make it look natural. So I watched the video and then I just kind of copied her style and I just kept going until I found something I was more comfortable with. So yeah, the structure was basically just watching YouTube tutorials, practice, and also scrolling through my Instagram feed of like other artists because like building up the visual library is really important for developing a style. Like taking like inspiration from everything around you, from movies to real life to like again your Instagram feed or even a Pinterest, is how I kind of develop certain skills. Is building a visual library and tutorials.
Okay. Yeah, that actually is really good. Was sort of sorry, I'm having trouble articulating, but
Sure.
did you have like a like did you try to study it almost like how school like an art class would set it up, like learning like the specifics of like anatomy and then like looking into the individual, like did you categorize it into specific sort of sub skills and then like work on each of those, or was it more of like an intuitive process? Because that's what I'm sort of getting, was that it was more of like a there wasn't any specific like I'm gonna learn how to draw eyes and then noses and then mouths. It was more of like a general overall like holistic approach. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It was, yeah, it definitely wasn't structured like school because that definitely would have just lost like my entire motivation to draw. Because I back then I didn't take art that seriously.
Hmm.
Uh, I treated it as a hobby and like it's, oh dear heaven.
No worries. Cool.
Let's see. Hold on. Click. Okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Wait, hold on. I need to get the door. I'll
All
come
right,
back.
you're fine. No worries. Okay. In the meantime, what are we gonna do? And Laura BT, just to let you know, I see your question. I will be asking her when she comes back, so don't worry about me not seeing the question. There's a lot of new people today. That's good. It's good to see new faces or new names. I guess can't really see your faces. Okay, today was tough. Last 2 days were so hot. Hopefully you guys have been able to stay hydrated. I need to drink water. I have not drinking enough today. If you haven't already, chat, get a drink of water. You're gonna need it. It's been hot. Although apparently tomorrow we're back to normal. It's like the high is 72 or something, which is I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because on the one hand it's the weather's nicer, but on the other hand, what does that mean for climate change? Like, oh, all right, we're back. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Uh, you good? Are we good to go back, or do
Where
you need? more time. No worries.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, can you hear the background noise? Hold on,
Yes.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
No worries. You're good. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the weather because that's all I know how to talk about. So, actually, what is the weather for next week? Spring break. Hopefully, it's not too bad. I'm gonna go outside for a bit. Oh my God, why is it? What is it with this weather? Tomorrow is the highest of 76, and then we're all the way back to the 60s and 70s. This is weird. Oh, she has a piano. This is so ADHD right now. What have you guys been up to? I'm sort of just chilling. Oh, I do not recognize
I'm
you.
so sorry.
Oh, no worries. Okay. Let's sort of start off with a question from chat. So, just to sort of give context, I'm not sure if you were watching Justin's stream, but Justin sort of brought up the idea, which he got from somebody else, which I can't remember now, but he sort of brought up the idea that a lot of the time, your art style tends to, for some reason, reflect how you look in real life. So, like Justin's art,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you already, yeah, you can go straight into that.
Oh yeah. I definitely think it's because of. I think Justin said this on his stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Jason's here.
Hello.
Yeah, this is epic. Yo, this is so cool.
Yo, CAMEO.
This is so
CAMEO,
epic.
say hi.
Oh la.
I can't hear you, but I love you, Dylan.
I love you too.
What
Yeah,
is
this
it?
is crazy.
Wait, can I see that?
Dollar store.
Shaver, bro.
Shaver?
I don't know.
Why do you have a shaver?
I was given it.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Sorry. He's
Yeah,
like
no,
right
yeah, no
there.
worries. This is epic.
Like Justin was definitely right of how like. Yeah, you can sit on my bed. Of how art reflects the way you look. I think it's definitely because of since we see ourselves a lot, whether in the mirror or the camera and all that, we're kind of I can hear it. It definitely I'm so sorry.
No,
It
no,
definitely we're definitely used to our own features being the default feature. Like for example, I tend to draw my characters with like a very low nose bridge, but that's just because I myself lack the nose bridge. But for example, someone with not that I'm just gonna say Asian nose, an artist that doesn't have a nose like mine will definitely default to the typical triangle like with a nose bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like if an artist kind of draws like without intention of drawing a certain feature, does that make sense?
No,
Like
that
just
makes
kind of drawing with like muscle memory, they will probably draw someone that looks very similar to themselves. Like I have an example. Hold on. Sorry, I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, take your time.
And
no worries.
hopefully it'll show up. You want to say something to the stream?
Can we do a makeup tutorial?
You want a makeup tutorial? We can. Okay, so there's this artist called Sugar, and I don't have a picture of what they look like, but basically, in real life, their eyes are kind of like slanted inwards. They have a small nose, and then they have plump lips. So, like no matter who they draw, they always have a tendency to draw features similar to their own. Oh, my
you're
water
right.
bottle.
Yeah, that.
Like I unfortunately don't have a picture of the actual artist, but they tend to like no matter the reference picture, they tend to default to like those specific features. Just because they look like that, and just because that's default to their mind.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
Justin sort of said that the reason why people do that is because they see themselves more like the most often. Like because you sort of touched on the idea of like having a visual library of like having all of these like
Mm-hmm.
visuals you've seen, and that influences how you draw. And Justin said that maybe the reason why is because you see yourself so often. Do you agree with that, or do you have
Yeah, he
any opinion
was. Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, since we see ourselves in the mirror all the time, we're gonna draw what we remember, what an eye looks like, and what a nose looks like. Like, again, for example, like my nose and all that. And I also have a tendency to draw sharper eyebrows, not just because my eyebrows are sharp, but then I also notice other artists who have less noticeable eyebrows tend to make them really thin or like just leave them out altogether.
of? Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. No. Okay, so just moving on to the next question. You sort of touched on the idea a bit already, but I want to go a little bit more in depth. Have have you decided whether or not you want to make this your career? And if so, how did you come to that decision? Or if not, as well.
Honestly, I'm still kind of teetering back and forth on it. As much as I want to make it my career, one of the things I'm not gonna do is like go to school for it, just because you don't necessarily need to go to school for it. But that's not to say it's not helpful to go to an art school. Like, you definitely, like, sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent about art school versus no art school when it comes to the.
No,
Okay.
we go on tangents on the stream all the time. You
I
can
love art school. I love
Okay.
Justin's stream.
So art school applicant here, but overall, I would say if the opportunity arises, I will pursue it as a career. But I'm mostly just gonna focus on going to a 4-year and majoring in like business. But I'm kind of doing it as I'm gonna keep art as a side hustle. I'm not gonna abandon art once I graduate high school, because I feel like having this like side hustle is definitely still really helpful. But my plan is to basically just build being a freelancer as a side hustle, and get that degree so that I have a bit of stability if I do want to go for being a freelancer or even into the professional industry. That answers the question?
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
That answers everything.
Okay.
Just a follow-up question. What does the professional industry look like? Because I honestly have no clue.
Honestly, I don't have as much of a clue either, but you don't need a degree, which is like, it might be surprising to a lot of people. You don't need a degree. What they care about is like the skills that you have, like, for example, experience with certain software, or generally how versatile you are and how well you work with deadlines. But a degree is basically kind of like a boost, because it's just kind of securing the fact like you have the skills and you're not just like a one-off thing. And also, taking the art school route definitely gets you more connections than not taking the art school route. You can still get connections if you don't go to art school, but if you go to art school, you can meet up with your professors and such. You can meet people, like fellow students who might one day become the next big animator at like Disney or something. So yeah, that's kind of what the art industry looks like. It's mostly based on skill, but having degrees still helps.
I see. Do you plan on taking any art classes in college? Like, I know you said you were probably going to major in business, but would you take art as an elective to get more, like, to build more, like, marketable or foundational skills? Or is that not something you're interested in?
Honestly, I never considered that, but like thinking about it now, if I had the time, I would definitely take a course or two. But I'm already planning to do AP drawing next year, so if I still am interested in art, like taking art a bit more seriously after AP drawing, I probably would take it as an elective in college.
Okay. What do you think about like external courses? Would you like external meaning like not like associated with an educational institution? Would you take those, and do you think they have value?
I definitely think they have value, like, because those courses are mostly run by like pretty popular artists on social media, and like pretty successful ones too, like successful freelancers. I definitely think they're helpful. I don't want to undermine it, but I wouldn't take it just because of the money, because I'm already kind of on a budget, and a lot of those courses do require having a program or like a tablet or some sort, which I literally just don't have. So I literally just can't take the courses just because of a lack of accessibility. Yeah.
Have you like? I don't know how much money you're making. And I know you didn't want to talk about it, but have you thought about like? Sorry, is the money that you're making? Can you get to a point where you can afford a tablet? And if so, would you get one? Or if you don't want to answer
I
that,
think.
feel free not to. So don't feel
Oh
free.
no, it's okay. So I won't talk about what wages that I make, but I will say starting out I did accidentally underpay myself. That's kind of the downfall of being your own manager, is that you kind of run your own wages, and like that's a good and bad thing, because I didn't do enough research, so I did not understand what the minimum wage in this state was, so I highly underpaid myself. But I don't think, because of how just unstable freelance is, I don't think it'll take me like a reasonable amount of time to be able to afford a tablet. But my parents, they're very generous. They're actually pretty like supportive. I'll talk about that later. About me getting into art, and they have offered to buy me a tablet, but I just don't think now's a good time.
Could you explain why you think that? If you again, don't feel pressured to answer if you don't want to.
Yeah. Basically, I would rather have them save money for things that are a bit more essential. As much as I would want a tablet, and right now I feel like there's a lot of other things we need to pay for that aren't a straight up iPad. Yeah.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. We have a question from Bonnie, who's a regular chatter. She asks, "What is your setup like?" I'm not sure if there's more than just your phone, but just to make sure.
No, it really is just my phone. It's usually just me sitting at my desk or sometimes at school. It's a bit irresponsible. Just kind of holding my phone vertically, turning on the screen lock rotation, and just putting my finger there and just going at it, drawing on my phone. Sorry.
Okay, so now we're actually no, one last thing. So you sort of touched on your parents being supportive, and you said you would talk more about it later. Do you want to talk about that now, or like?
Oh yeah, of course. At first they've never been unsupportive. They never straight up told me, "Ew, don't do art. You should go for a STEM major, become a lawyer, become an engineer," like the typical routine. But they definitely didn't encourage me to do it as a career. They just kind of put it aside as a hobby. Like they would just like, "Oh yeah, cool, you draw." But then the moment I told them that I started making money, and that I started like kind of networking and like sometimes getting like merch ish. I have an example. No, I don't. Oh god. No, I do. When I like started showing proof that this path that I'm taking does have potential, that's when they started being more encouraging of my art, and sometimes they occasionally ask me like, "Hey, how much money you make today?" or "Have you been drawing lately?" And just the main boundary is, it's a pretty obvious one, is that I can draw as long as like my grades are fine. Because like as much as like freelance is cool and all, I'm still a high schooler, and I would still like to graduate high school.
Fair.
I don't know, this is kind of nuanced. I kind of want to get an education.
Okay, yeah. What is happening? What is happening? Okay.
They're saying they hate money.
Okay.
How much can you hear them?
Were they talking before that point? I only heard that. Like, we can't even hear the words they're saying. We can only hear like just the general like
Okay.
sound.
No, maybe that's for the best.
Okay, getting back on topic. If you're okay with talking about this, once again, no pressure to talk about it. But
Mhm.
um, what does like the business aspect look like in terms of like how do you get clients? Like, do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? Then like, how does this overall, just to get a general idea, what does it look like when you get a client?
So I've been really lucky. I've never advertised myself on social media to do
Wow.
commissions. What's happened is that and I'm pretty grateful for that fact that every client of mine has all they have done is just reach out and just ask if I do commissions. And sometimes I do get messages that are just straight up disrespectful, and I just refuse.
Hmm.
Like, well, I don't message them, but I basically just don't reply if they're being snappy at me, um or if they're just asking to draw in general, because then I can tell that they are not asking me to draw with the intention to pay. So I don't waste my time with those kind of people. But yeah, basically they just message me first and then I reply if I trust them. I'm so sorry.
No,
That's
no, no.
my
You're
sister. Can you close the door?
For the
Let's
cat.
go, Jason.
This looks so sus.
No, it doesn't.
Shut up. Shut up.
Shut up. Alright.
I'm so sorry.
You're okay. Shoot, where were we? Oh yeah. Have you ever thought about advertising? Like, has that ever come up? Do you think that's a good idea? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like if I advertise, I'll definitely make a lot more than I do now. But I don't want to advertise until this is a bit more personal, until I've kind of had a secure place to put my money in. Because right now, where I put my money isn't very secure. I mean, I'm not at risk of like losing all my money that I've earned, but it's definitely not the ideal situation.
okay, I see. So okay. Sorry, I'm having trouble. If you were to do advertising, what would that look like?
It would be me having a sheet basically of what levels I do. This is like what a lot of artists do. They offer a certain price at head and shoulders, head to bust basically, and then or sometimes a full body. And then that's kind of what I plan to do. And basically just have a sheet of like each section is a certain price, fully colored. And then I also, because I do emotes, I want to do like a special prices of a certain amount of Twitch emotes, because I kind of want mostly Twitch streamers or just streamers in general to be my clients, because I feel like I mesh really well with that certain graphic of clients. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, do you know what it is about them that makes them easy, like you mesh with them more? Because that's an interesting thing. I never would have thought about that.
Because streamers often, I feel like, depending on how much they care about their aesthetics, they often need artists to do it. So they tend to be a bit more respectful about how they approach artists when it comes to commissions. Like I notice like a fine line between like a general population asking me for art versus Twitch streamers, because Twitch streamers know more about how commissions with freelancers on social media work. While like a general person, I would have to explain it to them, but I don't have that kind of time to explain it to them, and just for them to say, "Nah, I don't really want to pay that much money." Yeah, it's generally just professionalism.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because like in streaming, there tends to be like an established culture of like that's just how you do it. So that makes it a lot easier. I see. Okay. So we've got a couple of chat questions already, which is great. Keep up the questions, guys.
Ooh.
So first question is, you don't have to answer this if you want to keep it more secretive, but Bonnie asks what app you're using on your phone, because she says like it's really impressive the fact that you can do all of it on your phone.
Oh, okay. I use IBIS Paint X. It's for free. There's a limited amount of brushes, but you can unlock all the brushes if you just watch one like 30-second ad, and then you get all the brushes for 18 hours.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal in my opinion. But yeah, it's free. So I would recommend it for people who want to do digital art but aren't really committed and kind of want to take it as a hobby.
Well, that's actually pretty good, honestly. Like 18 hours for just an ad, and then
What?
having free access.
Wait, what?
Should I recommend a program for free?
You want to recommend a program?
Yeah, Autodesk.
Wait,
You
come
guys,
here.
yeah, sponsor us.
Guys, if you wanna use a free program on PC, you should use Autodesk Sketchbook. I used it like
Auto,
for about a year, but I switched to Clip Paint Studio or Clip Studio Paint. Yeah.
I just realized he can't hear you.
Oh wow.
Oh well.
What are we saying? Autodesk what?
Hmm?
What was the thing that he plugged?
Auto. Here, wait. Plug it again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
He
Yeah.
can.
All right. So for free softwares, you should use Autodesk Sketchbook if you have a PC. That's like really, really good. And also like all the brushes are like free. So
All the brushes are free. Dang, that's crazy.
Damn. Okay, that is pretty good.
That's actually really good. Wow.
There
Okay.
you go. Another
And-
artist info.
All right. Next question. Do you ever get burnt out from drawing slash yeah? If you ever get burnt out or tired of drawing, and if so, what do you do?
Yeah, I definitely dealt a lot with that when starting out actually getting attention. Because for about 2 years of my like time with social media and posting art, I would basically just get scraps of attention. Like not that I'm ungrateful, but like it would be like a max like 20 likes. I know numbers don't really matter as much when it comes to skill, but when I kind of switched platforms from Instagram to Twitter, I got an average of 1,000 likes,
Oh wow.
and sometimes noticed by like really huge like YouTubers and stuff like that. And the burnout, yeah, I just kept drawing like every day without break, and it came to a point where all of my art was I don't know how to say this. It was mid. It was
okay. Yeah. We got it.
it was mid. And
Sometimes saying is just the best way.
okay. And I just wasn't really satisfied with the way it looked, but I felt like I had to keep going, otherwise I would lose the attention that I got on social media.
Ooh,
And that's definitely really unhealthy.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So-
And how I dealt with it is that I don't think it kind of naturally faded out. I didn't just straight up take a break and be like, I need to focus on me and just stop drawing for a bit. I kind of just faded out of that phase of drawing every day and only like drew a few days. And instead of drawing something that I think would do well on social media, I started just drawing something that I liked, and then my art improved from there.
Sort of. This is more of a personal question because like this is something that like burnout affects me. So, did the burnout from drawing affect other parts of your life, or was it just a drawing burnout?
It definitely did affect other parts of my life. Like I started, I don't want to get into this, but I definitely questioned my self-worth because I was like, if I'm not good at art, what am I good at? Or if I'm not good at art, what else is there to me? Which is a pretty horrible way of thinking. And it definitely took some time away from art in order to, and like away from social media too. Social media had a huge part in my burnout as an artist. Because when you're drawing for an audience instead of drawing for yourself, you feel all these eyes on you, and like you feel like this expectation to kind of just produce like really good pieces every single time.
Yeah, that's. I asked the question because honest, like, I'm not going through like burnout right now, but like, I was like, what's the point, man? Like, why am I doing all this stuff? Because
right,
like I'm just like doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then I'm like, why did I get into this? And like I'm just like sitting here.
exactly. Like when you it's like getting like tunnel vision. It's like when you go into it so much, you kind of do at some point have a breaking point and stop and think like, is it worth it? Is it worth this like mental stress? And then you kind of have to deal with the is it worth it question through like taking a break. Like taking a break is so important for just anything. And when I apply that to art, I just kind of took a break from looking at numbers. Because like again, art and social media, it's like kind of tricky because there's like this whole thing of like if it gets this amount of likes, it's trash. If it gets this amount of likes, it's good. But I've seen the reverse happen where my less nicer looking pieces would get like one time this one piece this sounds like really ungrateful, and like I don't blame people for thinking that I am ungrateful, where it had 11,000 likes.
Wow.
And at that time it was the highest amount of likes I've ever gotten on a piece of art. And it was fan art, and I even got noticed by the YouTuber who had like 1 million subscribers at the time.
That's crazy.
Who saw the art, right? But I wasn't proud of it at all because I was like, this only took me like a few hours when it usually takes me way more. And I just was so angry that the art that I genuinely put my heart and soul into didn't get as much attention as the art that followed the trends but wasn't as good looking.
Yeah, that's actually so frustrating to put like to try so hard and then not get the results, and then to not try and then get the results you want. Then it sort of just skews your whole view of everything. It's like, should I even try?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just
exactly. And I definitely went through that should I even try phase of like during my burnout, where I was like, what if I as long as I draw these certain people, use these certain hashtags, post at this certain time, I'll get the amount of likes I want and then I'll be happy. Which is such a horrible thing when it comes to creativity.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's sort of the segment of burnout. I was not expecting to get this deep into it, but yeah, I feel like just to sort of have a more complete, like thorough answer, I think for me, burnout is like one thing I noticed is that it doesn't feel like you're getting close to being burnt out until you hit that breaking point. Because like it just feels like you're doing your day to day, just like your habitual activities, and then one day you just broke it, and like it just comes out of nowhere.
Exactly.
But then somehow like as long as you don't try to keep pushing yourself, if you let yourself rest, it somehow goes away on its own as long as you're not making anything worse. And if you can just get through that time, generally speaking, you somehow equilibrate to the right, back to normal. It doesn't mean that you should be continuing to push yourself after that point. You should be trying to like figure out how you got to that point and how you should avoid burnout again.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, it's just about waiting it out and hoping that things I don't have any like major like tests or like anything big while I'm burnt out.
Like burnout is so hard to navigate because like as you said before, it just kind of feels like it happens out of nowhere, but like there comes a certain point where it becomes such a part of your routine that you just go on autopilot. And then when you're on autopilot for long enough, sorry, I don't know like that much about the ins and outs of burnout, but I feel like when you go on autopilot for a certain amount of time, you kind of just get tired. And then that's when the burnout happens.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like.
Yeah, and the thing with autopilot is that you don't know when you're tired. Like you just keep going, and then like that's probably why it's so difficult to know, because you just autopilot until you burn out, and that's when you know it's bad.
Exactly. And like because it's all pretty much internal, like no one, it's really hard to like visibly see like someone going through a burnout depending what it is, and especially if the person has a tendency to be able to put up a front that they're fine. You're kind of just dealing with it on your own because no one else can see it. Like that in itself is hard to like have self-awareness and realize that you're going through a burnout. And like applying it to my art, it took me a good like 3 months to realize that what I was doing, checking my follower count every day, checking like how many likes I got on like each of my pieces, like throughout my day, was very unhealthy.
Okay, yeah, that's sort of our segment on burnout that came out of nowhere. But okay, getting back on the sort of outline that we had, coming back to the business aspect, we already sort of talked about how the audience plays a role, but could you just sort of go into more detail? Like, is there anything like specific you want to talk about how the audience shapes specifically what you draw, as opposed to just like how it affects your mental?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of subtle. It's not as intense. Like if they say, "Oh, my favorite thing about your style is the coloring of your style," which that's the comment I get the most. So instead of So that kind of motivates me to, instead of focus on like my line art and like the general actual drawing of it, like how I draw eyes, noses, blah, 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 blah. I focus on my coloring style because that's what people know me for. So I basically just go for what makes me unique as an artist, based on what my audience says.
Yeah, this is sort of again just like a more question for my own like curiosity. But how do you pick colors? Because like okay, I'm not an artist at all, but like when I make posts for the Instagram, I cannot pick like a color. Like it is like every color I pick somehow manages to look ugly no matter what. How do you choose your colors?
It's definitely based on color theory, like basic color theory, like red plus yellow equals orange. But then I kind of go beyond that. Instead of, I don't know if you've heard this phrase, but it's like a common phrase amongst painters, especially. It's don't paint what you know, paint what you see. And what that means, like, say if I need an example, like let's say like in this certain lighting, this blue would appear purple. But because you know this brand label as blue, your brain thinks, oh, okay, let me just paint blue. But then it turns out ugly because it's inaccurate to like the real life, what it looks. So instead of seeing things like as you know them, like, oh, I know that this is blue, you look at it from how you already see it from the outside instead of like without context. You're basically looking at things without context. So you're like, that's not blue, that's like a vague indigo in like a certain lighting. And that's just kind of what I do. I just pick colors based off what I see them as. And then sometimes, because my coloring style tends to be bright, I make them a bit more extreme. Like, let's say I'm painting something blue, but I actually want it to be a slight purple blue. Instead of just making a slight purple blue, I actually just make it way more purple.
Oh.
And against other colors, it's gonna appear blue. I'm basically just tricking people's eyes into seeing a different color. I'm basically gaslighting. I'm gaslighting your eyes. That's color theory. Color theory is gaslighting your eyes.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's actually really good.
I agree with you.
Gaslighting.
Actually, on God.
Is that
Shut up. Shut up. I'm so sorry.
Okay, sorry. So, for the gaslighting, is this like something intentional you do, or is this like more of like a subconscious, like, oh, I'm choosing purple here, but like, is this something like, oh, if I want to look blue purple, I have to put purple, or is that like intuitive?
It started out as intentional because I was struggling with color so much, and I wanted my art to look less drab and very muted colors. I wanted brighter colors, so I started doing it consciously. But it came to a point where it was so integrated with my style, it's just kind of like second nature to pick a certain color and like brighten it up and like change the hue and all that.
Okay. Yeah, the other question I had was, do you have references when you draw? Because when I look at your art, it doesn't look like something like you would see in real life. But then you sort of talk about how you are painting what you see, which is sort of contradictory to me.
So it depends. If it's for fun, I don't have a reference. It's based on the visual library I've built, and that's kind of like why having a visual library as an artist is super important, because you want to be able to not depend on references too much. But that isn't to say you shouldn't use references. I use references a lot, especially when it comes to commissions. Sometimes I don't have to ask for references, but most of the time, if they're not already given to me, I ask my clients for references because I just want to nail exactly what they were imagining. So yeah, I use references most of the time, especially when I'm drawing a character. Like I can't just remember every specific detail without like having it right there. But
So,
then because I like, oh sorry.
No, you got it for sure. This is all you. You got it.
All right, thank you. But because I've practiced enough with drawing references, I'm able to interpret the reference into my own style. instead of accidentally like just straight up copying the reference. You can't really copy off a reference, but you kind of get what I mean. I'm just translating it into my style, like simplifying it, changing certain colors so that it fits with how I draw. It's like adapting.
Yeah, you just answered the question I was going to ask, so that's perfect. Okay,
Okay.
That worked out right. Nice. Okay, that wraps up the business sort of aspect I was asking about. Now we're sort of getting into the more.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, now we're getting sort of more into the personal side of things. Again, no pressure to answer any questions, but we're sort of getting to how do you personally balance art with school and like everything that school brings with it?
I'm gonna be frank. I kind of don't. I kind of don't. I mean I have okay grades, right? But you will see me slacking in class, like especially during the classes where I don't need to actively pay attention, which sounds really bad. Do not follow my example. Anyone who wants to pursue this kind of path. But I do work on my commissions during school.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Making money in class. Let's go. Chasing that bag.
Yeah, I am. I really am just making money while I should be taking notes. But
that's actually so good. That's so cool. Drama
yeah. But no, I do kind of balance school. I basically just I finish up all the school stuff first. I do my homework and I do all that stuff, and then I draw. And if I don't have time to draw on the day, I just kind of go, oh well, because it's like my education is way more important than me drawing like some silly little fan art of some YouTuber.
Okay, yeah. That's actually so cool that you're actually like making money in class. Like that's just so cool to me.
So thank you, but I think it's really irresponsible.
The different perspectives. But have you ever like you sort of said like, oh, if I'm too busy with that like schoolwork that day, I don't do drawing. Have you ever like stayed up or like have you ever like basically stayed up to draw when you're like okay, yeah, looks like you have.
Yeah. There have been times where it's gotten really bad, to where I've had like 3 hours of sleep.
Oh my god.
Or actually way
drawing?
less. No, an all-nighter.
Oh, you
because
for drawing.
it's a joke in like the artist community that like the inspiration strikes and your art just suddenly improves when like during the latest hours. I don't think that's necessarily true. I've stopped staying up for the sake of my art because I'm kind of taking myself a little bit more seriously now. So I want to be able to draw when I'm like well rested, and especially when it comes to commissions, I don't stay up for commissions because I'm getting paid to do this. I need to be at my best.
Yeah. I used to try to like stay up to get things done, but like it just does not work. Your work just the quality of your work drops so much. Even though before it used to be,
Exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't work.
Yeah, the quality, like one time I drew this little thing for fun, so I did stay up for it, and then I woke up in the morning and I was like, ew. It just went, ew, it looks so like scrappy and like not very well, like it's not very clean. Obviously because it was 5 a.m. and I hadn't slept since like in 12 hours that moment. 24 hours. I'm not sure.
Yeah, a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Are there any other big questions? Okay. I know you already have your own portfolio, but like, could you like sort of explain how somebody else could build up a portfolio that reflects their style?
Ooh. Okay, so don't just have finished pieces that look really good on the portfolio, because definitely, I don't know if Justin already talked about this, but what art schools or just like even jobs look for, or sometimes just social media algorithms, what they look for is that not only the finished pieces but sketch pieces, or sometimes these things called like studies, where like let's say I want to learn how to draw an apple, and then I just draw an apple over and over again, and it has that little. It's like kind of not my best work, but it's still showing that I was able to study something and kind of produce a okay result. You want to show versatility in your portfolio, basically.
Okay.
So like the good, the bad, the ugly, not too much ugly.
That makes sense. Just sorry. Oh yeah. So could you go into how you develop your own style? I know you already talked about like the idea of like your visual gallery and then working from there, but could you sort of give a more like in-depth process on like how you would advise somebody? So like maybe there were some mistakes you made along the way, some advice you would give to some people. Like what would you advise people to do if they're interested in doing what you're doing?
I would say if you can afford it, you can buy art books. Like it's art books are basically like just concept books from like shows and movies and all that, where they kind of show the process of how something is drawn, but not in a tutorial format. In just a here's all these like old drawings that we had while writing this show, and we just smashed them into a book. That's a really good way to develop a style, because then you can just have that as a solid reference that you can always go back to, and like take little bits and pieces that you like from this style. So that developed my style. I took bits and pieces from stuff I saw and tested it out on my art style, and if I liked it, I just kept doing it.
So would you say that your art style is just other people's art styles, like the pieces of other people's art styles that you liked combined, or would you say that's something that's like uniquely your own contribution that's in there as well?
I feel like the first answer, it's like a combination of styles that I liked, because I feel like no one is like truly original. That's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
complete originality is kind of impossible, because we kind of gone to a point in society where
Everything's been done.
everything's like kind of the same. But I would say it's still uniquely mine, because like my take on a certain way to draw an eye is never going to be the same as a person I reference,
That's
because we're literally just different people and we see the world differently. That sounds like a bit too deep, but it is basically like that.
okay. Yeah, we've got a question from Bonnie. Bonnie asks, was there a point in your life where you didn't draw for a long period of time?
I would say no, not yet. I was close to straight up just taking a break, but I genuinely enjoy drawing. So I don't think I'll have that period of just straight up not drawing for a long time.
Okay. Yeah. This sort of reminds me like of something else. So you started talking about how eighth grade was when you were 13 was when you started taking it seriously. Could you talk about what made you start taking art seriously?
Well, it wasn't 13 that I took it seriously. 13 I started, but it was definitely uh end of freshman year I started taking it seriously, and it had a lot to do with the pandemic,
Mhm.
because I had like all this free time on my hands, because it's like, oh, school's over, oh, you can't see your friends anymore. I was like, I might as well just cope by drawing and just sketching and like investing myself into media that I liked. And like the media that I liked at that time was webtoon.
Mm.
And it just kind of inspired me to draw more, because at that time I don't want to do it anymore. I think it's too much work. At that time I wanted to be a comic artist.
Mhm.
So then I kind of look into drawing more at that time, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to do this as a future thing. And that's how I took art a bit more seriously.
I see.
It was because of COVID, essentially.
Yeah, COVID, the free time that COVID gave us is like it's not all great, but like it was actually pretty helpful for a lot of people. I feel like for like figuring out what they want.
Definitely. Like it had some benefits, but yeah, COVID was kind of sucked. But a lot of people definitely made the best. Sorry, yeah, made the best out of like a pretty bad situation. I was gonna swear, a pretty like situation, which I
Yeah.
think is pretty cool.
Yeah, Bonnie has another question, which is what is your favorite art piece you've ever made or favorite thing to draw in general? Maybe just treat this as two separate questions. What is your favorite art piece, and then also what is your favorite thing to draw?
Okay, I'll start with my favorite thing to draw. My favorite thing to draw as of late is faces and then outfits based on a based okay most of the outfits I draw like for fun, not for like work or a fan art or anything, are based on a certain I can't aesthetic in the early 2000s. And that's my favorite thing to draw. It's just like feminine fashion in the early 2000s with like facial features of just like any kind, because I like to be diverse in my art. I feel like one of the most important things about art is like representation, because we really need a lot of that nowadays. And then my favorite piece has to be my most recent piece of Doja Cat. I can pull it up on my Chromebook and try to show the camera. It's gonna be a little scuffed, but if you're able to show it
Oh
on
yeah, wait.
stream.
Yeah. Could you send? Oh shoot, I should probably not be having this. Could you send a link to to the Instagram, or like, can you just send a link to somehow like Discord, Instagram, somewhere so that I can open it up?
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I need to copy and paste this.
Is it gonna be on Instagram or Discord?
Okay. Okay, I sent it. Can you see it?
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, this one. Oh yeah, this one just. Wait. Yeah, this one you just put it up like very recently, right? Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I posted it yesterday.
Okay, yeah. I'll put the link in the chat as well so that everybody else can see it. Yeah, you're okay with? Oh, too late now. Shoot.
Oh, that's okay. No, honestly,
sorry.
I'm okay with it as long as people don't refer to me by my real name in the comments. We're good. Then we're good. I can obviously delete comments if that would ever happen.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to talk
I would
about
say
this piece at all, or like anything specific?
Oh yeah, of course. I definitely love the outfit that she was wearing because it's very based on early 2000s fashion, especially with the butterfly clips, because that was a really significant thing during that time. And also, I just really love Doja Cat as a music artist in general. So she's like an inspiration in more than just music to me. She's like an inspiration in visuals, and I also just like the general bright colors. Because again, I like vibrant, bright colors, but not too vibrant where your eyes will melt at the pure mere sight of it. And I also just like, I would say the general. I'm pretty proud of myself of how far I've come with semi-realistic, because this is my first semi-realistic piece in a long time. Because usually I draw super simplistic, like all the way to the point where the nose is just a simple half circle. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of just like how it looks visually, and like my improvement on my like art skills in this piece.
Yeah, it looks great. Wow, that's actually nice.
Thank you.
Next question. I'm assuming this is Hillary. She asks, has your social life been impacted by drawing, either positive or negative, or both?
I would say I don't think it really impacted my social life, because as much as my friends like to casually mention it, it's not the center of my life. Like I feel like my life as an artist and like my life as Emily the student, Emily the Marina student who like does student stuff. God, that sounds stupid. Is pretty separate, because like being an artist isn't my entire personality. Maybe it is going to be my entire personality because I'm literally on a stream talking about it, but they don't bring it up all the time, and I respect, I appreciate that.
Okay. Are there any other questions, chat? Because I don't think I have any more that we haven't already talked about. Let's just make sure.
I just realized those are not my clothes, right? You guys wear those to school? Did you guys wear these clothes to school? Aww.
That's a problem.
I mean, because you sat on my bed. No, it's not that much. I just want to know. It's fine. No, it's okay. It's okay. I probably shouldn't ask first. It's okay. No, you
Okay.
can still sit on it.
Emily. Oh shoot. Slacking. Okay, Emily.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we've got another question. So, if you don't mind, Bonnie
Mhm.
says, if you don't mind telling, what canvas size and brushes do you normally use?
Okay. So canvas size, I don't really have specific like down to the pixel number, but I mostly go for a 4:5 ratio. Just because I like vertical pieces more than I like horizontal. But it honestly like this sounds really vague. It honestly depends. But I mostly default to the 4:5 ratio, and the resolution really just depends on how my phone is feeling that day. And then brush sizes, I can't really say a specific pixel because again, it has to do with ratio. But I generally go for bigger brush sizes because I like my line art to be thicker. That's just my preference. If you like thin line art, then don't listen to me. But I use one brush for everything. I use the felt tip pen hard on IBIS Paint X, and then but for coloring mostly, I just use the lasso fill tool. Yeah, I don't really use that many brushes.
Okay, any other questions, chat?
You can write down. I don't mind. Hold on. Oh wow.
Okay. Unless chat sends some questions over the next minute or two, I think that about wraps up the stream, which went way faster than expected. Do you have anything you want to talk about that I haven't covered?
No, I think you've covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. But I was pretty surprised when like the burnout was brought up. I'm not uncomfortable with it though.
Okay. I'll give it another minute. But yeah. Oh yeah. In for the time being, do you want to just tell us where we can find you on social media in general, if that's okay with you?
Yeah. I'm not really comfortable with like I mean I know you already sent a link, but I'm still not comfortable with like outright saying it. So you can follow me on my personal social media. It's like my name, Emily Hua, with an extra Y. Because I do post art on there just through my story, and I do this thing where I doodle like a certain character and I ask like anyone who sees my story to basically name them. And it's a pretty fun thing to do because I always like see like the most like pretty names, and then I also get suggestions like name him Among Us, and then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You say yourself, tell yourself
Oh, you guys go. Bye.
Same feeling. Bye. I Dylan.
Bye.
Say that
Bye, Ben.
Bye.
Good resolution.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Wait,
stream.
let me hold on. Let me lock the door on the way out. Okay.
I did not expect it to take that long. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're good. Back. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, yeah, we're back. We have one
Okay.
last question probably, and it's from
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie again. Do you have any pieces that mean a lot to you, whether it's your own or other artists?
Honestly, nothing really, like, I'm sorry to disappoint, nothing really comes to mind because I feel like, actually, no. I would say my piece for Lunar New Year 2022 means a lot to me because it's just kind of representing my culture through my own art style, and I can send it if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Just because of like the culture that it includes, that's why it means so much to me. But it's also it kind of just shows because I've done Lunar New Year pieces in the past, and then I can after I did this piece, I kind of compared them, and then it made me look back and realize how much I've improved in like 3 years, and then it kind of motivates me further because it's like what is my art going to look like next year and then the next year.
Hey, this is actually so cool.
So that's why like that piece means a lot to me. Thank you.
Okay, well, what's happening? Okay, sorry. Yeah. Other than that, I think that's all we have for today. Unfortunately, that was really fast. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on stream. This was actually so fun. I'm so sad that we didn't have more questions. Usually streams go on for a while because we have a lot of chat questions. But yeah, that's all I got.
It's fine. Thank you for having me. This was like really cool. I haven't done a stream in a long time.
Okay, yeah, that's all we got for today. Thank you so much, Emily. Yeah.
No problem.
All right, bye. Have a nice spring break.
All right, bye.
Okay, that was cool. I didn't know she was like I knew she was good at art, but like I didn't know like she was like that good. So that was actually really fun. Okay, before we end stream today, I'm assuming that we're gonna lose a lot of viewers, but for the people who are staying for me, we have a couple of questions from the stream forum. Again, you guys can send in questions to the link tree. I can link it again, but you guys can send in questions to the link tree if you cannot make it, and we will post them on our Instagram after the question is answered on stream. That hopefully this link should work. Yeah. Okay. So from the stream forum, one question is what classes are best for someone who's thinking of going into technology? And this question is a little bit vague because technology entails a lot of different things. Technology as an industry is just increasingly growing, but I'm going to assume that means computer science, coding, because otherwise I think they would have been a little bit more specific. So in my opinion, because of the fact that technology is not like something that's like it's not a traditional industry. It's not like it's been around for like hundreds or thousands of years. Because it's more of like a recent thing. Most of the time, you don't even need to have particular classes or colleges or degrees or there's no like the prerequisites to have a career in technology are not as like fixed or like passed down from like previous generations as say for instance I don't know math teacher you gotta have math and you gotta be a teacher like a career in technology is becoming much more skills based than educationally or degree or institutional based. So that's like, I think sort of the perspective of this is not necessarily wrong, but I think that it's important to keep your mind open to the idea that you don't necessarily have to take classes like in school in order to develop the competence you need to get a career in technology. But to sort of address both sides, first for externally, for like not going to an educational institution for technology, I would say just build projects because technology is like in some ways it's almost like art. Like obviously they're very different, but it's similar to art in the sense that a lot of it is skills based and portfolio based. So the best thing to do is figure out a project that like obviously this is coming from somebody who's not a professional or tech expert, but from my understanding, having like just building projects that like you can get self-motivated by, that would be the best non-educational route to take. If you want to take like if school is easier for you to learn from, it's easier for you to like get things done. Like that's how it is for me. Then at Marina, all we have is AP Comp Sci principles. We might be having AP Comp Sci A again next year. But yeah, other than that, at Marina, there's not very much for tech stuff. So hopefully that ends up as our clip of the week sometime soon. And oh, I didn't see the second part. Yeah, for dual enrollment at community college, you can take. There are other technology classes, but I've taken one of them. But to be honest, when a school tries to sort of turn skills into a curriculum, a lot of the time it becomes very tedious, very repetitive, and honestly sucks the energy out of it. It gets really boring. Like I remember trying like just after the first week, after the first project, just hating the class, but having to keep on going because I didn't want to fail the class. So I would say if tech is something interesting to you, I would recommend that you just pursue it independently as your own thing and build up projects so that you can show to like prospect like potential employers or just to have something to show. Because when you have just a degree, it just shows that you went to that school and that you did not fail. I think having the portfolios and the skills is far more important. So that's one question. Another question that's not so um, substantial is just why do we play the same music in every clip of the week? And the answer to that is that we're lazy and we just do the same thing every time. Because like it's just like we could find new music for every single one, but that music is not too loud, not too boisterous. I'm hoping. If it is bad music, please send in feedback. But yeah, we have the same music just because it's easier. If you have better music, certainly recommend it in the comments of this potential clip of the week. But yeah. So that's all I've got for you guys. Just a reminder again, you can go to our link tree to co-host a stream like Emily just did, send in questions to the stream forum like the ones I just answered, and to order Justin's merch. Justin was just on stream, made a cameo probably an hour ago. So yeah, other than that, make sure to follow us on our socials. We are very, very close to 50 followers now. We're up at 42 followers. We should be hitting 50, maybe not before the end of the year, but if we do, the giveaway will be happening once we hit our 50 followers. So yeah, other than that, that's all I've got for you guys. You guys got anything? You guys just want to chill? I'm just kind of burnt out still, so just kind of chilling. I'll give it a minute because just in case you guys are still typing. Other than that, probably end the stream if nobody has any suggestions. Okay, looks like we're good for this stream. Thank you guys so much. Oh, never mind. Oh, thank you, Hillary. Appreciate it. But yeah, that's all we've got for today's stream. Thank you so much to everybody for coming. Thank you to Emily for coming on. She did an amazing job.